fall. So here we go again. It's a race to cut ties. The mental.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to World 11 Podcast. I'm your host, the Chocolate Dunder with Wonder, Mr. Andy V. And joining me is the big red velvet. I just messed up. The red velvet Nordic beast himself, Big Papa, Mr. Larry Giver.
They call me Black Jesus. Whitey Ford is in the house singing the blues.
Oh, yes, everybody. This is what I'm ended up going to be at Friday later on, and I cannot wait for this weekend to be in Indiana having a vacation with Larry and eating what burger was it again?
The sticky burger.
The sticky burger. Oh, this yes.
Ground beef, pepper jack cheese, bacon, and peanut butter.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. We have a lot of activities going on that weekend. And we're definitely going to be recording a show. And I just can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so geek. Just a lot of stuff is going to be going on. Unfortunately, our home, he's going to hate me for this one. Our huggable hombre, Mr. Adrian Nieto, wasn't able to make it. So, we do want to plug his stuff, The Frozen Machine. You can check him out on, Facebook and on Twitter at The Frozen Machine. And, they have their game out, Tuna Cycle, on iTunes and, Google Play. So do check them out. Pick up their game. Let them know, how great the game is. Post your scores if you do, download it. But we're going to get into the show.
Hold on, stopping you for a minute. Because Adrian's going to end up listening to this later, and I'm totally going to throw this in here just to fuck with him. Because somebody gave me a brilliant idea the other day. He said, you got to tell Adrian this. It says, downloadable content for Tuna Cycle. It needs to happen. You know, right now, Louis and Louise are picking up their stuff to go to their date. Downloadable content should be that Louis and Louise are heading off to other events, and they're picking up stuff for other events. And I shit you not, the example he gave me was Louis and Louise are heading to a fetish night and they're picking up all their stuff. So here's the leather harness and here's the ball gag and here's the strap on that they got to pick up along the way. 99-cent DLC, make it happen.
Adrian just probably have his head in his head, shaking it like, what the heck, man? Adrian, I love you. You respond to that. That's our co-host. We love him very much, but I'm gonna let you respond to that. I'm gonna let you respond to that. And if you have thoughts on what Tuna Cycle DLC could be, you can email the show at world11podcast@gmail.com.
This went straight to hell so fast. Thank you for that, Michael. I appreciate that. I told you I would bring that up, and I'm a man of my word, if nothing else.
Good one. We don't have an Indie Watch today, but we do have an Indie Reflect. We're going to be talking about Alien Hominid. And just to give you guys some context about Alien Hominid, it did start out as a Flash game, developed by the Behemoth. When it came to North America, it was published by O3 Entertainment. In Europe, Zoo Digital Publishing. And the Behemoth, they did the iOS version also. Dan Paladin and Tom Fulp, those two created the game. It was a Flash game, like I said, but it did come to consoles, PlayStation 2, GameCube, Xbox, mobile phone, Gizmondo, Game Boy Advance, the Xbox Live Arcade, and iOS. Its release dates were November 21st, 2004, and it's a Contra-style game. You can play one player or two players. I played the game on the GameCube. Larry, you played it too, right?
Oh, hell yes. I had it on the GameCube, and I loved and adored it there, and I need to find another physical copy of it. I have it on my 360, but it's just not the same. You know, it's clean, it's fast, it's smooth, it's fun, but there's something to be said for having a Wavebird in my hand, playing that glorious-esque game.
And it still looks good on the GameCube. Like,
oh yeah. Again, I think a lot of that is very simply attributed to the animation style that they went with. That very, hand-drawn, ridiculous kind of stick figure-esque, looks like a 5-year-old drew it kind of thing, and I love that fact. So,
yes, I remember, like when you be part of the game, you get like different hats, like costumes and stuff. And this was actually, and this is just my opinion, and I don't know if you agree, Larry, but this was kind of actually the first indie game to come to consoles. Like, I don't know what other indie game came to a console like that.
It's definitely one of them. There's another one that comes to mind, and I want to say that Majesco had their hands on it at the time, but again, it was another one of those that came out for like, $20 brand new back in the GameCube, PS2, Xbox days. There was another personal favorite of mine called Future Tactics. I adore Future Tactics. Finding a GameCube copy is a little tougher, but you can usually find a PS2 copy for about $3. And
wow.
It's really good. Like, the story is excellent. I love the storytelling in it. I love the fact that they give a broad story, and they don't bog you down with filler just for the sake of filler. They limit the storytelling to, here are the important events that happen, and we'll just let you assume what happened in between as they're walking about on their journey.
Is it Future Tactics: The Uprising?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I remember this game. I didn't play. Let me tell you.
Future Tactics.
Okay, by Crave Entertainment, because they brought it. I didn't know this was an indie game.
I would classify it as indie. This is a fairly small title. Not a lot of press. I guarantee you not a big budget. For God's sakes, this came out of, I apologize, I was thinking Majesco, but you're right, this was fucking Crave, of all things. Here's a company that's not known for much of anything, and this was a gem because, here's a brilliant take on the turn-based, strategy game, instead of like Final Fantasy Tactics, or any of the other tactics games where it's a grid-based, move 3 spaces, attack whoever you're standing next to kind of thing, which is very rigid. And to me, it's got some chess-like appeal, but it just, for me, doesn't hold the long-term appeal. Future Tactics had a very brilliant take on it. They said, here's your character, here's a move radius, and you could wander around and run, anywhere in that move radius. It wasn't grid-based. It's like, here's a circle this big around your character. Run around as you see fit, as you will. And, you would move your character, park it, and then you had your attack phase, which it wasn't just, attack, you're standing next to somebody and whack them with a stick. It was a first-person shooter in a turn-based format. And your reticule, you could aim it, but it was kind of free-floating as well, as I'm here gesticulating on an audio-only show, which nobody can fucking see what I'm doing with my hands, but there it is. And so aiming was a little bit tricky, but that was the point. Since, you're aiming at a stationary target, they found a clever way to make it work, and you'd take your shot, and, headshots were going to do more damage. I mean, they really did put some great thought into this. And on top of that, they had some phenomenal destructible environments. Like, I remember there was one stage early on in the game where I actually kept one enemy alive, and I camped out on an upper ridge somewhere. And I just sat there for hours, blowing up everything in the stage and, like, digging 2 stories underground, by blowing up the terrain, just to see how far I could push it. And it really kept going. I was like, wow, no shit. And it was good. It was kind of cheery and perky, and it was unique. And the story, oh my God, the story was good. I cannot get over the story. I cannot recommend this enough for God's sakes, I'm sure most of you have a PS2 laying around somewhere. Go on Amazon or Half or wherever you go and get a copy. You'll spend no more than $3.
I'm gonna have to look for. I'm gonna have to look for a copy because I remember seeing this box art, but I didn't.
On top of it, it had multiplayer. You could actually play head to head with somebody else. One team versus the other team. And the leveling system was great. It wasn't super punishing. It was just enough to keep you interested. If you failed a mission, you kept your experience from that, on the retry. So you kept building. You didn't feel like you were fucking stuck. So if something was a little too hard, if you kept plowing at it, you could still grind your way up to a point where it became manageable instead of just feeling stuck, frustrated, and pissed off, which was great.
And here's a little background history. Future Tactics: The Uprising is a turn-based tactical shooter video game by Z2. Once known as Pillage, this colorful turn-based shooter was stuck in development for a number of years before being picked up by Cray for a US release, followed shortly by Joe Wood for a European release. It plays a lot like the Warren's 3D games and has a story penned by Paul Rose, who used to write the video game page Digitizer on Channel 4's Teletext. The game features a geomod system in which almost anything could be destroyed, leaving battlefields scarred by craters. It was released on PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and Windows. A Gizmondo version was planned but canceled after Tiger Telematics went bankrupt. The story: the plot of the game revolves around Lo, his sister Pepper, and any other survivors they could find, trying to rid the world of the mysterious and malevolent creatures that are slowly taking over the planet. Yeah, I remember this box art, and now
it's
I feel
so good.
Oh, I feel so bad not picking it up.
You need to find a copy.
Yeah.
I'm looking this shit up on Amazon right now.
And like Cave Story was another one. That was the first WiiWare game that I knew was Flash, but didn't play it until it came to consoles. Cause I think he like reprogrammed it or like kind of like fixed it so it could be on WiiWare. Like that was the first time me playing Cave Story.
Dude, I'm looking at this shit on Amazon. You can get a GameCube copy for like $1.21.
Nice. Well, if you're a Prime member, you can get it for $1.21. I think if you're not, you gotta pay probably.
You pay like $4 in shipping. Whoop de f and do. Get it?
Yeah, that's it. Get it? Yeah. Just get it. So that's Indie Reflection. Anything else by Alien Hominid, Future Tactics: The Uprising, or Cave Story? I do recommend. If you got a 3DS, pick up that copy. If not, it should be available in a whole bunch of platforms. And if you guys know of other like indie games to be reflect on that came to console, let us know. I would love to see how many indie games actually were like indie Flash games that were actually did get a physical copy like later on down the line. Like I would love to. I need to check that. And that's good, kind of continuing from our discussion from last week. So do check that out. That Future Tactics: The Uprising. I might get the PS2 version. But if not, I'll probably still go get the GameCube version because I know my Wii still works, and I might play it on my Wii.
It's totally worth it.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the show, and our first topic is talking about the death of C+ systems, and this means 3DO, Amiga, the CDI, Atari Jaguar, and I added the TurboGrafx 16 because these systems came out during the Super NES and the Neo Geo days and a little bit of the 64, like N64 days. Why do you think these systems didn't survive? Like, what made them like really die out?
First off, no fucking quality control. Like, this is the same thing that killed Atari and damn near buried the industry. No goddamn quality control. You know, there's a reason that Nintendo did so well and managed to not only survive the gamepocalypse, but also, you know, rebuild a fucking empire. It's because they were basically fact checking all the shit that went onto their system, at least for a period of time, and that was enough to garner, you know, the goodwill of the people in order to, you know, bring it back. And so when somebody saw something for Nintendo, they went, okay, I've got a fair shot that my money that I spend on this will probably be worth it. And, you know, even as that faded off over time, you know, it was still a concept associated in people's heads, you know, for a long, long time to come. And, you know, anything outside of that just had a hard time getting traction, because at that point, so many people already were on board with that. And at the time, a second console was a very cost-prohibitive thing. You know, especially for something like 3DO or TurboGrafx 16, you know, when you already spent the money to get a Super Nintendo and a handful of games in your house,
right?
You know, it was extremely cost prohibitive. And you just, between that and looking around and, you know, looking at the library of games on one of those versus either a Genesis or Super Nintendo at the time, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, I'll grant you, TurboGrafx 16 had fucking blazing lasers.
Yes.
It's the tits.
Yes.
I wouldn't even say go track down a TurboGrafx 16 to play it, because for God's sakes, you can turn on your Wii and download it for like $8, and it's totally worth it.
Yes, I love that. And it's funny because I had, my brother had the Sega Genesis, I had the Super Nintendo, and this is the first system that I did go out of the Nintendo family was the TurboGrafx 16. Because I ended up playing both of them. Playing Bunk, Dungeon Explorer, Blazing Lasers, just a whole...
Blazers.
Oh, goodness. Just a whole bunch of great quality games. And most of the games came from Hudson. And they, I mean, some games came from, like, Dracula X was Castlevania, for the system. That was for the CD, their CD, the TurboGrafx CD, which was actually, if you think about it, the TurboGrafx 16 had a handheld also, which had the TV turner, and, the games that you bought for your TurboGrafx, you could play on the handheld.
Speaking of that, that reminds me, we need to talk about the Superboy for a minute, because if you haven't seen this shit, it's totally... My God, I need to get one. One of our local stores, and I'll take you there, actually carries them in store. But for those that haven't seen it, the Superboy, spelled just how it sounds, S-U-P-A-B-O-A, or B-O-Y, Superboy, is a no-shit handheld Super Nintendo, and it's awesome. I mean, it's got the right look, the right feel, you know, and you can jam your Super Nintendo cartridge in it and play it on the go. It's got, you know, I think it's like a 3.5 to a 5-inch somewhere in there screen. Uh-huh. You know, it's not enormous, but it's enough to be fun and be competent, and it's awesome. It's a fucking Superboy. You can find them online for like $80 with rechargeable batteries to boot. So there, it's awesome. That's my plug for the day. So whoever the hell makes Superboy, send me one. I will review your product on our show.
Right. The Turbo Express was the handheld.
I want one.
I remember having was it Super Game Boy? It was the Game Boy, the attachment to the Super Nintendo to play.
I've still got one. I've got one with manual and fucking everything here, dude.
Okay.
I have got one.
I'm definitely gonna hug you, like really, really. You might have a wife and a husband before the end of the weekend.
You come over. You're always welcome to stay.
Oh my goodness. Yes, yes. I know definitely for the 3 duo, it had Street Fighter, and the trashy Way of the Warrior that just looked horrible. But that thing was like $600. Like that and the Neo Geo. I mean, the Neo Geo I can understand because the Neo Geo was kind of an arcade system. You could take the cartridges from a Neo Geo and put them into an arcade cabinet, like because they both were the same thing. That I can understand. But the
Neo Geo was for 2 fucking things: Metal Slug and fighting games.
Pretty much. I mean, they had some action games, and some puzzle games, but yeah. I don't know how they cranked out so many fighting games for that system.
I don't know, but for what it's worth, I mean, a lot of the fighting games they did put out were really good. It's just, their Neo Geo was very focused on, like, those 2 things. It's like, we need fighting games and Metal Slug.
Because of the popularity of Street Fighter.
I want to do this other awesome game, and I'm pretty sure somebody at the corporate office for Neo Geo said, "Fuck you, get out."
And what's bad is like those games are like the platforming games, the shooting games. They're not that long. I mean, they're quarter munchers, but I'm like, if you spend time with them, you probably could beat them with 45 to an hour. And these games were $200.
Yeah, I mean, bearing in mind, though, they were really designed for arcade units, which, again, they're supposed to be quarter munchers. That's how it works. And they, on average, nobody's going to actually stand there for 45 minutes to an hour hunched over an arcade unit, and so they assume that, you'll pop in maybe $1 worth of quarters at most, play it for a little bit, have some fun, and go, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love playing Fatal. Like Samurai Showdown was my game for the Neo Geo. Fatal Fury was weird. I like the mechanics that they added on, but they kind of didn't teach you. I mean, they taught you how to play the game, but I was just like, I need to take this home and study it, and if I want to get good at it, because the first time I played it, I was in Mississippi, and it was 25 cents, and I have never seen a Neo Geo cabinet at all. Until I seen it when I was, I have actually left church with my family. We walked to a gas station, where they sold knee highs, cause that's the only, like the South were good with knee highs. They had the fruit punch, the strawberry, the grape, the orange, like knee highs the bomb. I love knee highs. And I mean, they were selling it in the Midwest, but they had like, right in the front, because they were only 99 cents in Mississippi, and down here they was like almost $2. Like they was kind of expensive, but like down there they were like really cheap. And going to this like gas station convenience store, they had a Neo Geo there, and I played Fatal Fury for the first time there. That was my first Neo Geo game.
Oh, God, what else did they have? Fatal Fury, wasn't Art of Fighting one of theirs? And I think King of Fight was another one of theirs, wasn't it? Or am I thinking wrong?
No, you're right. Art of Fighting, King of Fighters, because King of Fighters was the Godzilla monster ones.
Was it?
Yeah. I mean, it was in that style, because you played like a lizard, a mammoth, a moth, like, it was like 3.
I think King of Fighters was the one with the what's his nuts with the fucking trucker hat. Or is that Art of Fighting?
That's Fatal Fury.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because
that's Terry.
There's too many, and I can't keep them all fucking straight anymore.
King of Fighters, World Heroes, Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, King of Fighters is where they're like, it's the 3, I think it's the 3-player, like the 3-team match one. I have to look it up.
I'm gonna look this up later. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, so. The King of Fighters was the fighting game where it's 3 people from a certain series that are like multiple fighting series that you select to make it as a team. That's King of Fighters, yeah. But there was a monster one. Because there was a monster one. Because that's where you have Mia with the bouncing breasts.
Yeah. But yeah, back to topic on hand though. No, like I said, these things died because two major systems had already made it into people's homes, and adding another was extremely cost prohibitive because the technology that these things were pushing, and B, the library just wasn't there to justify it for most people.
Right.
Granted, there was some there for some, but I think that was a big issue for them, is that they just couldn't get the library off the ground, and I think a lot of it got stuck in a catch-22, like what we're going to see with some other things coming out. But they looked at it and went, "You guys don't have the install base for us to make games for your system," and the system wouldn't sell because nobody was making games for the system because there wasn't enough systems in people's homes. Right. So round and round you go, but you end up stuck in the same position.
And I feel like the TurboGrafx-16, if you couldn't get a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis, I think the TurboGrafx-16 had good value in its price. Because they had some really good, really had some good games. I still love the control, like having a rapid fire, already built in. I'm like, that's cool. Splatterhouse was good, Bunk was good, and they really advertised it on TV. That's what made me want to get it. I'm just like, you know what? Let me get a TurboGrafx-16. Let me go outside of Nintendo and get this system. And I enjoyed it. I got to play Vigilante and beat it because I didn't beat at the arcade.
And yeah, that's. I do think though that there just wasn't enough of them out there to really garner any major nostalgia for it, and as a result, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that come back again. Much like we have a 2-party political system, we have a 3-party console system, and really, we've seen in recent years attempts of people trying to break into that, and be the independent and really get their foot in the door, and it doesn't go anywhere. Ouya had a real good shot at it.
Yes.
And just couldn't deliver. By the time it hit the market and we saw what was actually there for it, it just didn't deliver. It was underpowered for what anybody wanted, which I think it's really a shame. Because for me, Ouya, at least in theory, when this was still, an in theory thing for a lot of us, Ouya was one where I looked at and I went, this is a really neat machine, and I could, if it has the guts for it, this could be a great little, indie box. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, all the shit that I've got on like Xbox Live Arcade, if I didn't have to buy a $200 console to get at it, if I could spend $100 for this little box and be able to play my downloadable titles, right. I that would have been fucking brilliant. I would have been perfectly happy with that as a little indie machine, and that would have been awesome. But, and by the same token, here was a machine that was promising and had the potential to be that great indie device too, because every kit was unlocked to be used as a dev kit as well.
Exactly.
And then it came out, and A, the controller was garbage, and B, it was an underpowered machine that, it was barely as competent as, any standard cell phone at the time. And that just doesn't cut the mustard for something like that.
Because wasn't it using like Android? I know it's using Android's operating system, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it was using at that time. Because they say you could also custom make it whatever you want. Like you could take the insides out and put whatever you want in and make it the system that you want it to be.
I don't remember that in there, but at this point, like I said, they had big hopes and aspirations, and it failed to deliver, and I think that's the biggest thing that kept them from being able to really crack the market. Because it really was getting a lot of love in principle, while it was in the works, and then when it finally got into people's hands, they all went, oh well.
Because that's kind of how On Live was. That On Live system,
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
and now I think even the Steam systems that was supposed to be like such a big thing for a console, like it got released. I don't know who owns one. The talk about that thing is dead. Like people talk about the control. Like my friend, he has the Steam controller, but as for a Steam console for the home,
Well, that's something that was coming out, in a staggered format, because it wasn't just one Steam, box, and that was it. They had,
Yeah.
a couple variations. It was basically a desktop built to be hooked to an HD TV. Obviously, with any desktop, there are lots of various options as you custom build this shit, and so, some more expensive than others. And again, I think this is something that I think they were going to have a very hard time finding the right market for that, because either anybody that was really big on it and really wanted to play it on their HD TV probably had their tower hooked to a TV already anyways.
Right.
It's essentially a box that's just as expensive as a gaming rig PC, but with more limited functionality. And I think people had a hard time seeing the value in that. As far as the Steam controller goes, it's a nifty idea. I think if they could have made a universal box that said, this will play 95% of all the shit that we've got on Steam, fixed mechanics, and, one price, and it was reasonable,
yeah.
and they mass-produced it, I think they could have done better. They could have turned it into a console, and cracked the home console market that way, but Valve didn't want to do that. Steam didn't want to do that, and that's their prerogative. That's fine, but on top of that too, I don't think Valve really wanted to get into the hardware side of things, which is why they had other companies like Alienware get involved on the hardware building side. So I think it'll be a long time coming before we finally see anybody figure out how to really crack the three-party console market at this point.
Because I think, I don't want to say Oculus Rift and other like VR headsets are trying to crack in.
I only look at those as extensions of like PC market.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's not anything that's going to really crack into the home console market. It's just not.
Well, C Plus Systems, you were great when you were available.
No, C Plus Systems, you were okay.
Right, because there are C Plus. And we would not speak of The Legend of Zelda for the CDI.
See, we weren't gonna, but then you had to fucking say it now, didn't you?
No, just in case.
You just fucking had to say it.
Just in case somebody was just like, well, why didn't y'all talk about the CDI? Because we didn't even talk about the Amiibo. The Atari Jaguar, I remember at EGM, someone took the Atari Jaguar and made it to a dentist equipment. Like, and they colored it all white and somehow used it as like some kind of dental equipment. I was just like, wow. And that controller was
something
ugly.
how to use that shit.
So,
well.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some World 101 musicals. And what that is just World 1 news. News for your ear. For you to listen to.
What's in your ear holes?
Yes. The first news story we're going to talk about is the AM2R, which is another Metroid 2 remake. It's available now. I believe this story comes from where all our stories are coming from, Destructoid. So do check out that website and just show us some love.
It's a couple places, so not just Detoid.
Oh, well, just this our website. Our not website. Our podcast is using their stuff. Larry said you downloaded, but you haven't played it. But you played a little bit in the past. And this is a remake of Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, correct?
It is, and it's a nifty remake. I have been watching it over the last number of years, and it's been in the works for a long time. So the basic rundown is this guy rebuilt and kind of reimagined. It's kind of the equivalent of going from Metroid to Metroid Zero Mission. And it's a particularly pertinent example because a lot of the assets used are from Zero Mission to rebuild Metroid 2 in a much more vibrant, more up to snuff edition. For me personally, and I know I'm way out of fucking left field on this one because nobody else feels the way I do about it. I understand that because I'm fucking weird, but there it is. For me, putting this into a Metroid Zero Mission-esque context loses what made Metroid 2 special for me. For me, I loved the fact that it was desolate and bleak and barren, and there wasn't much to speak of in terms of music. It was just the sounds of things creeping around in pitch black backgrounds that you couldn't see the backs of caverns because it was fucking dark and underground and shit. And it was very tense and claustrophobic, and I liked that fact. And bringing it into that very bright, colorful, vibrant Zero Mission motif, I think loses a lot of that magic for me personally. Now, that being said, I like Zero Mission. I do. I think Zero Mission was a spectacular way to retell the original story and update it in a correct manner because it fit that better. But here, I don't think it's the best fit. Now, that is not to knock this project because this project is tremendous. Like I said, I have been keeping an eye on it for years. I haven't gotten to actually play through the finished product yet. But like I said, I've played through some of the demo builds, that have been out there, and it's a really well done project. It's very cool. Now, I will say I've kind of been watching this over the last day or so as this has gone up, and one of the prominent places to get a hold of it was the Metroid Database website. And Nintendo has already issued out a takedown notice for them, so they had to remove the link to that off of their website, which, well, sucky is actually probably good for their website because apparently it was a huge strain on their fucking bandwidth because everybody was going after it at once. That being said, a quick Google search at the moment will still bring up the actual project's website where you can download it. Assuming that Nintendo doesn't get to that by the time we get this episode up at some point this week. But yeah, it's really the only thing that we are going to get to celebrate the fucking 30th anniversary of the series. Happy birthday. And, it's a shame. And it only makes me sadder because we are weeks away, less than a month, fucking weeks away from Federation Force coming out, this month too.
Right.
And you've got a major, you've got a 30th anniversary for one of your tentpole franchises, and you are weeks out and you're doing nothing to raise any fuss about this, about your new game coming out for this series that's, running a big anniversary. It's ungodly disheartening, and everybody in the Metroid community has said the same thing, that this is bloody ridiculous.
But that might be more on
acknowledgement at this point, which they won't even give.
That might be more on Nintendo Japan than America.
But somebody fucking get on it.
Right, because my thing would have been like Thursday, 30% off all the Metroid games available for Metroid 1, Metroid 2 on the 3DS, Super Metroid, the Prime trilogy that's available for sale. They don't have Metroid Other M on it. They do have Fusion. They do have Zero Mission on Wii U. Like, throw a 30% on it to celebrate the 30 years.
Got Hunters up on Wii U too as well.
Metro Other M?
No, I think they've got Hunters up on Wii U though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think that one. I think they just released that like maybe 2 weeks ago or something.
If that. The other little under the radar Metroid title too for the original DS. Go find a copy of Pinball because Metroid Prime Pinball was fucking awesome.
Oh, I never played that one. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you come next week. I'm busting that shit out for you. It was awesome.
Ah, yes.
It's literally like getting Metroid Prime in a pinball format. It's ungodly clever. So, but yeah, that you can find a copy of Pinball for fairly cheap at a used store somewhere too. But yeah, get a copy. It's good.
I know I still need to buy Metroid 2: The Return of Samus on the 3DS. That's the only Metroid game I have not played, but I need to fix that and I need to get it. I think I'm gonna wait
for this week, dude. Go spend like $5 on your 3DS and get it and play it and be done with it by the time you get here on Friday.
But there's so much stuff I gotta play. Yeah. I need to do that.
You can rip that up in a couple hours, trust me.
So our next topic is Shantae and the Pirate's Curse is getting a retail for the 3DS and it's also releasing Shantae to have Genie Hero as a release on September 27th. That's the release date for both of those games, and in Europe it's going to be September 30th. The retail release will feature a new arcade-style game called Super Shantae Knob, though no details of what actually that is have been released at this time. So, 2 Shantae games are coming out for physical release next month. I will say Shantae and the Pirate's Curse is a really, really good game. I own it on Wii U, and I own it on 3DS through the Humble Bundle. Which I'm glad that Nintendo did that during the Nindies.
Some of those that have been pretty good, actually.
Yeah, hopefully they do some more because I actually paid like $10, and I think if they do another one, like even if they like do on Earthbound or well, no, they do mostly indie stuff. So like, but if they throw, they threw on Darksiders, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I mean, and I didn't get that package because I had already owned Darksiders. But if not, I should have kept it and just be like, anyone who listens to the show, answer this question, you guys could get it. But I think if I own the game already, and I do, support the Nintendo Humble Bundle. When they bring it back, I'll probably put out the code. Be like, okay, you responded. Here's the code, and there you go. Or I'll let you guys read it first.
Yeah, I was thinking we need to start doing like some contest and giveaway shit. I'm sure we can find some random things to dole out here and there, but
yeah. So just a little. That was just a little bit. I'm just glad that they're getting a physical release because that game is good. I don't know how much it's going to cost. But the Have Genie Hero I do want to play. I don't know if I'm getting it at my job, but if it does come in at my job, I might get the physical. If not the physical, then I'm definitely going to try and get the digital copy. Because the Shantae games, I feel bad getting into the series really late, but they are really good games, really good platforming games.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a terrible person. I have not played any of them.
Don't worry, it has a niche following, but they are really good, and it's getting better. People are really recognizing it in since they're putting it on more systems and stuff, people are enjoying it. So, shout out to
I have noticed it does get a lot of love whenever news of it, comes around. It's one of those things I look at it and go, I should check that out. I will. Eventually.
So, Ubisoft may be having loose lips about the NX. This story says other surprises in store for the NX, says Ubisoft. Following Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot, comments about how the NX is really great and will help the industry to continue to grow and to take a lot more casual players back to the industry. Executive Director of EMEA, Alan Core, says the company has other surprises in development for NX besides Just Dance that we will announce later. And everybody is hoping for Beyond Good and Evil 2 and the Ubi Art Rayman version.
Y'all can keep hoping for that shit.
Yeah.
That will forever be the carrot at the end of the stick that you will never, ever get.
Oh, this is a killer one.
Ubisoft puts that shit out. They can't go, well, if you want us to put out Beyond Good and Evil, you have to buy this game. It will forever be the carrot, and all you're ever going to get is the stick.
So, Core also explained to GameIndustry.biz that the publisher believes Nintendo has the power to reinvent the way families are playing, which is a curious statement indeed. Nintendo is a fantastic powerhouse of brands that are really cherished by a lot of fans and families. I'm still impressed by the reoccurrence of success and appetite even today for the Nintendo franchises on the current system. In other words, you're shocked that Nintendo is still making games for the Wii U and selling a lot where your games are still broken and people are not playing them as much. Yeah.
So first off, let me start by saying, fuck you, Ubisoft. Anything that you have to do with Nintendo, unless it's Rayman at this point, fuck you, and fuck you. Rayman is the only decent thing that you've really brought around, at least for my money, in the last number of years. They came out and the last two console generations, they've come out and toted, we're going to be a huge partner with Nintendo, third-party support, woo! And pretty much all that we ever got out of it in terms of, Nintendo stuff was either broken-ass shit or them just vanishing off the map. And it's, fuck you, Ubisoft.
Is it
I'm
bad?
Over.
Is it bad that I think there's two Ubisoft? Well, I'll wait for Watch Dogs 2. I don't know why. But the Ghost, I think it's Ghost. I know it's not Ghost. It's one of those games. There's one that I'm going to get so I can play with other people so we could talk about it and do a personal review. It's more for optional opinion than it is for personal enjoyment. But that's a later thing. Let's just get into our last story because Ubisoft is. And Larry's laying down. He looks such a cute baby. Oh,
I'm fucking comfortable. I worked hard today, damn it.
You do earn it. Well, don't fall asleep on me just yet.
I'm just comfortable. There's a difference.
Okay. Well, you might get a little bit comfortable for this one. Sex offenders in New York are now forbidden from playing Pokemon Go. And more fun facts. So this story I have to read, so please bear with me. If you're a sex offender in New York State, then you're no longer allowed to enjoy Pokemon Go. Not only because the step counter has been removed and you can no longer cheat, but because your governor says you can't. Governor Andrew Cuomo released a statement on the plan noting that protecting New York's children is priority number one, and as technology evolves, we must ensure these offenses don't become new avenues for dangerous predators to prey on new victims. These actions will provide safeguards for the players of these augmented reality games and help take one more tool away from those seeking to do harm to our children. The ban applies to nearly 3,000 offenders currently on parole in the state, and Cuomo has even gone on as far as having his people reach out to Pokemon Go developer Niantic Apple and Google to give them a list of registered sex offenders. This decision comes after an informal investigation by senators that found 59 out of a sample of 100 sex offenders living in New York City lived within half a block of Pokestops. Some locations were even at sex offenders' residences. One of the senators, Jeffrey D. Klein, called the game a virtual roadmap to our children. Concerns about predators using the in-game lure items to lure children to their residence were also noted by the governor's office. While I think this is a good-hearted move by the governor, if not a bit overprotective, I also think there are far more sudden dangers to tackle, like preventing 13-year-olds from easily buying guns. And this story was from Jed Whittaker, so I just read what he wrote.
Oh, for God's sakes, where do I even start with this nonsense?
Yes.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph Stalin. So, first of all, at this point, if you're so concerned about sex offenders and augmented reality shit, where were you when fucking Ingress came out? Ingress was there first. You didn't care.
Exactly.
All you want to do is raise a little ruckus because it's good for fucking PR. Move on. Second of all, there are major issues with any state's sex offender registry list. It's well intended, but it goes beyond the scope of intelligence. I know people with stories, and it's long stories, but there are too many ways to get on there for things that just should not be. And in addition, I would say good luck getting Niantic to cooperate with this. I'm sure they've got plenty on their plate already trying to fix their fucking broke-ass game.
Yeah.
Which, in addition, Niantic is also on my fuck you list this week, too, because I had to swap out my phone with the replacement and went to re-download Pokemon Go and tried to reload my account with all the shit that I had, caught so far.
Yeah.
And I can't get my fucking account to reload onto my new phone. So I quit playing Pokemon Go. I'm not starting over. Fuck that shit. And Niantic has been no help in helping me recover my old account so I can get back to the shit that I had already started. So fuck that.
And that's why I'm not playing Pokemon
Go. So I enjoyed it for the few weeks that I fucked around with it. I was like, oh, this is nifty. And I went and I played at the park a couple times. And now apparently this is my signal to be done because Niantic is no help.
Now, question about the sex offender part. If they buy a phone, do they have to register it or anything?
Truth be told, I have no idea.
Because I'm just like, how would you even know? Like, there's no way to lure people, I don't think, in Pokemon Go. It's just like, how you gonna lure them? It's just like, wait.
Yeah.
Huh?
And I'm sorry, the simple fact of the matter is that there are more adults playing this game than there are kids. For God's sakes.
I mean,
like I said, this is a grab for attention. This is and will be, at least for a little while longer, I suspect. This is the new, video games are bad. We must ban this thing, grab for attention from apparently people in, politicians and lawmakers in New York, because apparently they don't have anything better to do, which I find shocking because I've watched Law and Order all my life. Are you kidding? There's a new horrible crime every fucking week.
Pretty much.
You guys have plenty to do. Go get busy. How many Law and Orders are there? There's Law and Order and like Criminal Intent and SVU and all that shit.
It's now it's just SVU.
But you know what? There's clearly enough shit going on in New York. You guys don't need to worry about Pokemon Go.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that whenever Niantic gets that letter in their office, a couple people in the legal department are going to look at it and laugh real hard.
That's if they understand it, because they're going to be like, we don't speak English. We need to know.
I'm sure somebody in the legal department does.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah, that's a whole lot of dumb.
Where you pokies, you can't poke in Pokemon Go because they don't want you poking children. Even though adults are playing.
There is a company that does want you poking your bits with the Pokemans, because there's a company that is making Pokemon sex toys.
Oh, I've seen that. Oh,
and a fucking Bulbasaur and a Squirtle dildo and a little Pikachu butt plug.
I seen that, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I seen the picture, and I didn't click on it. But then I was just like, let me read the story and look at it. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, huh?
I actually went out to that company's website just to nose around and see what else was there. And holy crap, their shit's expensive for one. But for two, I did giggle because they had a fucking Doctor Who sonic screwdriver dildo to boot too. I was like, ha! But god damn, their shit's like way expensive. So, but that's going into another issue. So,
well, Larry, that was our news. We're going to get to Here's the Pitch, then we're going to do some plugging, and then we're going to end the show. So what's your pitch, Larry?
So years upon years ago, back in the day when I freelance wrote for another site that I'm pretty sure is defunct and gone, but if anybody out there is feeling adventurous, you can go out and try and see if any of that still exists, but good luck. But in any case, was talking about Metroid Dread and a little bit of history, which ample timing given that we're celebrating 30 years of awesome this week. Metroid Dread was years ago. It showed up on the list of games that was supposed to be shown by Nintendo at E3 one year. And every other game on that list ended up materializing in one form or another and ending up, released. Amongst those was like Super Princess Peach, I remember, was one right around that time that was on that list. There's a handful of others that now escape me. But Metroid Dread was the only one on that list that never came to fruition. And it's been talked about, in whispers and whatnot for years. But it was supposed to be the chronological sequel to Metroid Fusion, so that would have made it Metroid 5 at this point. And the dirty cock teases at Retro even dropped a little nugget about it and snuck that into Metroid Prime 3. If you do enough nosing around on the Pirate Homeworld, there's a little mention about it. But I always had this thought in my head. I'm like, okay, so I know where Fusion leaves off.
Yes.
You now got Samus stripped of her traditional power suit, and now with this, Metroid DNA-infused power suit, and officially on the run from the Federation for what she did at the end of Fusion. And I always thought, for me, it would be really cool to see where it goes from there. And I'm taking a cue very, very much from Spider-Man. To see the Metroid DNA take over more and more and begin to really push its mutation on her suit, to see more of the physical attributes of a Metroid, built into her suit, like the shoulder buffs have kind of that translucent with the red nucleotides inside.
Yeah.
The Metroid larva have, to see like the claw, fangs that they have on the bottom, like on the arms and shit, things like that. Just to see it become a more organic, geared more towards an actual Metroid would be really cool. And to see some side effects going along with that, and maybe some new abilities where she could latch onto certain enemies to drain life force from them to replenish her health, things like that. And she's now officially on the run from the Federation, including maybe even tying in one of the hunters. I know they've talked about before wanting to see what the connection between Samus and Sylix was. Sylix was one of the characters from Metroid Prime Hunters and actually had a real small, tiny, like if you weren't paying attention, you'd miss it, cameo at the ass end of Metroid Prime 3 if you got the 100% completion when she was leaving Elysia in her ship. Sylix's ship was chasing after her, and if I remember my backstory correctly, Sylix also has an affiliation with the Federation as well. I think it would be kind of neat to see her on the run and, maybe Sylix hunting her down for blowing up their shit again at this point. But, I think it would be nifty. She's on the run. She's also got Adam with her now as the AI in her new ship running around. And maybe see some issues mid-game, where it's running to her detriment, where the DNA, the Metroid DNA is taking over. There's some other weird, bizarre mutations that come as a result. I think there's a huge avenue to explore there. And, we're fucking years and years down the line and still nothing.
Who was she raised up by? I cannot think of
Chozo.
The Chozo.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see, because I like where you're going with that. And because while you was talking, I'm just like, what if the Chozo actually made a special suit in case something like this ever happened to Samus?
Well, and I think, too, that might be another unique avenue to go with this is, her looking for the Chozo to help her because the Chozo were the ones that actually created the Metroids themselves.
Ooh, yes.
So, if you dig into the history, the Chozo were the ones that actually created the Metroids in the first place. So if anybody's going to know the ins and outs of, their genetic makeup, and how they might be interacting with her and her armor that they made as well, it would be them and, her on the hunt trying to find, a last lost colony of Chozo out there somewhere in the universe.
Ooh, I would drive up to Indiana to be like, we need to play this together. And try to beat this in the weekend. Because that's just, because it sounds somewhat adult, but it's still like teen, and it feels like a Metroid game because of that mutation. Now she has new powers. Like, what does that do to her old powers that she got? Like, think of her.
Exactly.
Oh, go ahead.
And that's something that the tail end of Fusion got into as well. So.
Oh yeah, oh yes. Okay, I'm smiling really big. I'm loving that. Oh, Larry, awesome pitch, really awesome pitch. I want that now. Like,
I've wanted that shit for years. You're preaching to the choir, Holmes.
Come through, NX. Come through. That's all I can say. That's all I can say, Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm almost convinced that the fucking series is dead, as much as it breaks my heart to say it, because at this point, there's Federation Force, and then what? Lord knows, I don't think we'll ever see Retro Studios go back to it. Team Ninja, I don't think will go back to it. And at this point, Nintendo doesn't even seem to want to go back to it.
I think Nintendo's just waiting for the right time. I think because of Federation Force.
Right time was several fucking years ago. The right time was any time on the 3DS or, the Wii U would have been the right time, for God's sakes. And we've already heard from Kensuke that there is no mainline entry in the series in the works at this point, which is a fucking shame because that's really the only nugget that we've gotten in the last couple of years is he's talked about it and says I'd like to do something that explores that that connection between Samus and Silex from the end of Corruption, and he's like, but at this point I don't have anything in the works. So if anything does come of it, it'll be years away because we haven't even started on anything.
Because they probably because I think they probably have to do like R&D, like try to get the right engine and gameplay mechanics for that fleshing. Hopefully this time they learn that they got to really flesh out the story. And I think a young producer like or one of the young directors, because like the people who did Splatoon, like they were very young to come create that game. I think one of them can come and probably make that like, do you want to call it Metroid Dread as the game, as the title?
I would have called it Dread at this point. As far as I know, I think that's still the official name for as much as that's worth. But like I said, that was the title that was, on that old E3 list. And like I said, everything else that was on that list way back in the day has come to fruition, has been released by Nintendo. Metroid Dread was the only name on that list that just vanished.
Okay, then Metroid Dread or Dread.
So... But, they keep saying, well, I've got some ideas, we've got some thoughts, but they won't say or commit to a damn thing, and they've been dodging that bullet for about 10 years now.
Because I would say this. I don't think Team Ninja and Nintendo did a bad job with Other M. It had its problems. It's still my 2010 Game of the Year. Because
it has issues, but the only issues that I really had with that game were the fucking story.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. And it was because...
gameplay was great fun.
Yeah. Like, the story was going somewhere, but they put too many cliffhangers, and they really did. It felt like they didn't tie everything or give you actual solution. It was just like there's a boss that you fought, like that construction boss that you fight. Like, it you don't know who you actually fought.
Oh yeah. The Eliminator, which that's just random threads that just got left laying on the ground, and at this point I'm convinced that somebody got partway into writing that story and went, this is fucking dumb, let's just not talk about this anymore.
Pretty much, yeah. But other than that, I think Team Ninja, if they decide to work, because I think Neova is the only game that they're working on, but I think Team Ninja has a good relationship with Nintendo, because Metroid Other M, people were hyped for. Hyrule Warriors really sold well, so I think they could probably. I mean, the Tekken Tag Tournament did very well. The Wii U version, we're having characters in the Mario costumes and stuff. I think Team Ninja could, once again, I think they could tackle the Metroid series. If not,
no. I'll tell you who needs to do it. Chair. Somebody call up Chair. I don't care who, but somebody at the Nintendo office needs to call up the fine folks at Chair and be like, you guys, we got a job for you. Come here. Here's this project. Get on it.
I've never heard of
Chair. Yes, you have, you son of a bitch. They did Shadow Complex.
Are you serious?
That was Chair. They did Shadow Complex.
Oh.
And if you throw back to when that game debuted at E3 some years ago, it was a great debut, and they fucking called Nintendo out on the rug for it too. They said, you know what, we've been waiting for years for Nintendo to come out with a new console 2D Metroid, and it's not happened. So you know what, we did it. Here's Shadow Complex, bitches, and it was awesome.
You want to know why I was confused by Chair Entertainment? Because of Epic Games' name being on it. And I think Epic name overshadowed Chair. Okay. Again, did I need to finish on Xbox One?
Call up the Epic Games and call up the Chair people and get them on that shit right now. So, because they've got the formula down to a T. And Shadow Complex was phenomenal. To be given free reign to work within the Metroid license would be spectacular for them. Like, that's who needs to be on that right now.
Oh, that's going to be
on that shit, white on rice.
That's going to be hard because they got to go through Epic Games in order to work with Cher. And
I'm just saying, somebody in the legal team, I can get that shit done.
Pretty much they could. I believe so. Yeah, I agree.
You know, and like I said, these guys want it. They want this series to continue. You know, and they wanted it bad enough to make a damn fine Metroid game with Shadow Complex. So, you know, and even beyond that, they know they've demonstrated with Shadow Complex. They know how to handle storytelling inside that format. You know, here's a little bit here and a little bit here, but it's not overbearing. It's just snippets, and we know that you're not super invested in the story anyways. We just want to give you at least something to hang your fucking hat on while you go and you do the rest of all this cool shit that we made for you. Here you go. So they've really got a handle on the concept of what makes a Metroid game, and they need to be allowed to play with the license.
Come through, Chair. Come on, Nintendo, get it together. You know what? I think probably by 2018, hopefully 2019, we might see something about Metroid. I mean, they got to do something with the series because even though it don't sell in Japan, I think it can sell here. And people still love the series. I think I'm always going to support the Metroid series. I grew up playing Metroid. You grew up playing Metroid. It's one of your top series. Like, you know, you got tattoos. The beautiful chairs are from Metroid Prime 3. Amazing. Mm-hmm. Just completely amazing. That's dedication to Metroid. I say I'm gonna buy Federation Force no matter what. I still need to download the little sports demo that they have. But
I've played it. I've dinked around with it. It's not terrible, but it really doesn't have a lot of depth, and it really does feel
like a demo.
Not just that, it doesn't feel like there's really any substance to the Blast Ball game. Now, granted, I suspect that it'll be a little more in depth when you get into the actual meat and potatoes of the missions. But Blast Ball itself is a neat little distraction, but there's not enough there to really merit its existence as anything beyond a demo.
Well, at least it's free.
I grant you that. You know, it's nifty to dink around with, but and it controls fairly well. But beyond that, it makes me glad that that's not what Federation Force is, at least, you know. So.
Yeah. So with that, everybody, that is our show. Larry, what do you have to plug?
Let's see. I'm on Facebook. You guys are on Facebook. We're on Facebook. So there's that. What else? Clearly you're already listening to our show, but, you know, plug it anyways. Guys, listen to our show. Woo! Most useless plug ever. Fandom Furniture. We were just talking about the wonderful chairs they did for me. Fandom Furniture out on Facebook. Go check them out. They do some spectacular custom work for very, very reasonable prices. You know, show your favorite series love displayed all over your furniture, all over your house. Contact them, reach out to them. Spectacular work. Yeah. Or like I said, a very reasonable price. Again, you know, shout out, much love to the guys at Orgy, Jay and them for, you know, letting us use their awesome tunage at the beginning of our show. Um,
And thank you,
yeah,
Emperors and Elephants, for allowing us to use your song "Hit and Run." Do check them out on Facebook also.
yep,
Hit it red. I'm sorry.
yep.
Hit it red.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
big shout out to all the wonderful guys at E&E, for that last week. Much love to you guys, and I hope to get to see you guys around town again soon. Um, yeah, I'm running out of thoughts. My brain's gone out the window.
Okay. You can email world11 at world11podcast@gmail.com. That's WORLD11podcast@gmail.com. You can hear my show, Optional Opinion, and World 11 on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play. You can hear World 11 also on archive.org, so do give us a listen there. And you can hear Optional Opinion on the Anomalous Radio Network.podbean.com. Do check out the Frozen Machine and Tuna Cycle. Check out the MVC Video Game Book Club, where this month we're playing Super Mario Brothers 3 for the NES. You should be able to get it for Wii U, 3DS, whatever, if you own a regular cartridge. Join our Facebook page, World 11 Podcast, and interact with us. You can find our information also on there for connected with us for our video game systems. Check out my little story that I put on for MVC Video Game Book Club, where I talk about my adventure of finding Super Metroid. Not Super Metroid, dang it. Now I need to play Super Metroid.
I'm going to stop you for a minute, because we were talking. I got to take it back, because I knew there was fucking something I was going to bring up, and I didn't.
Okay.
Going back to the AM2R, there was a tease years and years ago, and it never came to light, which is a shame, because the fucking trailer tease that they put together was spectacular, and it was a project called SR388, and that to me, look it up on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Much more of the feel of what Metroid 2 was. It felt a lot more ominous and desolate, and I will throw a link up. For what it's worth, if you do a little digging around, you'll find out that apparently the project was pretty much dead on arrival, and that everything that was put together in that trailer was never functioning in reality, which is tragic. But I still look at that trailer from time to time and go, damn it, why aren't you real? Because it was so beautiful. I will throw a link up on our Facebook page so that you guys can check it out, and you can check it out. You need to watch it. But it's just, that trailer had everything right. Everything. It looked like it was built more on the back of Super Metroid's assets, but modified and tweaked, obviously. And I wanted it to so really be a thing. And like I said, to find out that project was just, dead on its ass. Stillborn is probably a better description for what happened with that project. Mm-hmm. But that was, oh God, so good. That would have been the thing that I really wanted to see. Not to knock AM2R, that AM2R put so much love into this and just pushed for years to get this done. And do go play it. Like I said, for most people, that will be a really good way to get to Metroid 2. It doesn't scratch that itch the right way for me personally. But again, I know I'm kind of the odd man out on that anyways. So, but yeah, I'll throw a link up to that. I didn't want to go without mentioning that, given that AM2R just happened and all that shit. But that for me is like looking at, broken dreams and going, oh, what could have been? Oh, sad panda.
Nordic.
So, but yeah, there's that. Back to plugs. Tuna Cycle, Emperors and Elephants, Fandom Furniture, Orgy, Optional Opinion.
Yes,
you do a show thing.
Season 4 starts this week. I cannot wait. New music, good topic to discuss. Be talking about my video game experience over the summer. I started a backlog bash blowout, and I'll let you know if I became successful or not. And that's all I can say right there.
You got 1 week to get through Metroid 2 before you get here. That's part of your backlog now.
Yeah, that is true. And also check out the Fire Emblem discussion, part 1 with Amanda Ruddock, and part 2 with Fuad Sakab. I do apologize for the technical difficulties for part 1 with Amanda. Google didn't want to be right. Google wanted to be a naughty service, so that's why it sounds that way. But thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games that you play. And we are out. Peace.
Deuces.